All right, welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Edge. This is an RPG and gaming news podcast. My name's Hat, and today I'm going to be breaking down the Final Fantasy XVI Awakening trailer frame by frame. Unfortunately, Eric and Stan are unable to join me right now. I'm sure that we are going to do another discussion episode on this where we're going to break this trailer down, the three of us together, where we're conversing, but we just couldn't make it happen right now. So I apologize about that, but I just wanted to record this now because I had some time and I figured, why not? I've been thinking about it. I'm just going to get some of my thoughts out there. It's only permanent on the internet. It'll be okay. So anyways, let's jump into this trailer here. I have had a change of heart on some of my thoughts from our initial reactions, but I'm going to bring it up as we go through this and kind of give you guys my impressions with what's going on here. So here we have our main lead character here, and he's got this fire that's burning in his eye. I think this is going to symbolize a scene that happens later in this trailer that I'm going to point out, where it seems like I think this is where the change happens, because this is an older version of our character. He's got a tattoo on his face now, and he's just kind of reflecting on something that happens, I think, later in this trailer. But I just want to pause here on this face and just point out that I initially thought this was Final Fantasy XIV. I thought this was an expansion, and this is why. Look at this face. Look at this haircut. Now look at this guy. I mean, come on. I think they go to the same barber, right? These guys could be almost related. But anyways, this looks a lot warmer and a lot more detailed. Of course, not trying to say that graphically they're on the same level, but stylistically, I thought they were very similar. So I thought this was definitely Final Fantasy XIV, and that this was just an announcement for this game to come to the PS5, until I started seeing axes being shot in people's heads. And I was like, what am I watching right now? Because this is intense. This is not Final Fantasy, but it's cool. So yeah, it's much more mature, which I think is awesome. So right here we have this guy. He also has this tattoo on his head, on his cheek there. Can't really see it, but you'll see it here in a moment. You have this guy right here who has the same tattoo on his left-hand side. And then this guy, you can't see it, but you'll see it later. He has the same tattoo on his left-hand side. And he's just kind of going over the mission and saying that Shiva's dominant is the target. Shiva's dominant appears to be like the summoner or that type of person. It seems to me anyways in this game that that is more of a one-on-one relationship where one person is able to summon that entity. In this game, it's called the icon or an Aeon, But I think that it's a one-on-one thing. I don't think it's like prior Final Fantasies where you could have multiple characters all capable of summoning Shiva, which makes sense because, she's supposed to be a god. It'd be a lot to keep up with if you had 100 people able to summon her, to kill anything. So anyways, joking aside, they're going over this mission. Like I said, they're going to do something to Shiva's dominant. I think that they're probably going to capture her. I think that, I'm not sure that we have enough information to say they want to kill her. And I don't think they're trying to rescue her. So he seems a little angry to be a rescue crew. But anyways, so he says, and only the dominant. So they're not trying to focus on anyone else. It seems to me this is kind of like a special unit group of soldiers. And that's cool. Our main hero is part of like a special forces in the medieval times. Now we have this badass scene here where this guy's coming up with this sword. And then you're going to see this axe fly out from the left-hand side of the screen. Watch this. That is not Final Fantasy. That is not Final Fantasy. Look at this blood. This is an M-rated game. This guy currently has an axe sticking out of his head. He has an axe sticking out of his head. All right, so now he's falling to the ground. This guy's just going to walk up like a boss and pull his axe out. Look at this tattoo right here, though. You see this a lot through this trailer where all these different characters have different types of emblems or symbols on their body or on their clothing, and it kind of shows what side they're on. I think that this symbol is probably Titan because you're going to see later in this trailer, Shiva and Titan are fighting. I think this is the battle of the two realms that's referenced in this trailer. And I think this is a battle between Titan and Shiva. And you can see right here on the right-hand side, You can see some ice flying over these soldiers' heads. Shiva's coming through and cleaning up. And it says, our kind do not question orders. We follow them. Again, we're back to the soldier guy that's in charge of the special forces, who's going over essentially what they're going to be doing. But he says, our kind do not question orders. We follow them. And then we see our main hero. I feel like I should give him a name. Let's call him Joe. So we see Joe here, and he's touching the tattoo on his cheek, again, reflecting about the decision that he's made, most likely. Then it cuts back to what I think is the Battle of the Two Realms, and we see ice shooting across the battlefield. So clearly these guys that are on the chocobos that are running this way, they're on Shiva's side. And then I think the other guy with the tattoo on his arm that was cleaning up business with that axe, I think that he was on Titan's side. You'll see some green colors right here, which is going to be prevalent with a dragoon that you'll see later in the game. It has the same color scheme, so I think they're probably on the same side, which is interesting, but pretty cool. This guy just tackles that guy off at chocobo. Definitely boss move. All right, they show Square Enix. They say Sergeant. They've summoned their icon. And then you're going to see they're referencing right here our main hero. It says Sergeant, they've summoned their icon. Now, I don't know if they're talking about this gentleman right here or if they're talking about our main hero. I find it interesting that our main hero is the only one that carries a sword on his back. Everyone else carries it on the side, but whatever. Anyways, so I find that interesting because being from the military, I was in the Marine Corps. Sergeant is generally an enlisted rank, and it's implied later that our main hero is from a royal family. So I find it kind of weird that he would be not an officer. However, this could be, we have no way of knowing right now what happened to him and what caused him to join this special unit. And perhaps part of joining this special unit is you're just kind of all equal, or maybe the rank structure is just different in this game. But I felt like it was an interesting point to bring up. All right, now we see our first look at Titan, and they say he's a mountain. He's a mountain. He's not an icon. He's a mountain. We got a very Final Fantasy 15-esque with the design there. Pretty cool. Now we have Creative Business Unit 3, Yoshi P's studio. All right, now we have Shiva. Our first look at Shiva. What do I feel about her design? I like it. I like it. It's much more cold, if no pun intended, but she's definitely got this kind of like evil stare about her. Whereas with the Final Fantasy VII remake, this is a very faithful rendition of the original Final Fantasy VII Shiva. You know, she's much more, I don't want to say playful, but it's just a different take on the Shiva character. So I kind of like this. I mean, it's, you know, you're in war, you should be serious about stuff. I was trying to make out what these symbols or what this kind of design on her crown is, because I thought maybe this might be, you know, the tattoo, because it looks very similar, but I think that's just a coincidence because there are some differences, and I just was trying to wrap my head around why they were trying to go after her, unless they're trying to rescue her. But there's going to be a scene here that tells me that she's not being rescued. They're not trying to rescue her. So I think I was just reading too much into it on that front. But here we go. We have this battle. Titan blocks these icicles with his fist because he's awesome. This guy gets crushed. More blood. Jesus Christ, look at all that blood. I'm going to push that back. I promise I'm not obsessed with blood. I promise. It's just, this is a Final Fantasy game that's got blood in it, like crazy amounts. It's crazy. Why did this guy not run out of the way? Like, why did you stare at it the whole time? Anyways, we're getting off track. Okay, so he just got crushed by a boulder. That sucks. Probably the worst day of his life, I would imagine, right? He died. Okay, then we have a younger version of our main hero here. He says, our foe will not relinquish the Mother Crystal easily. This is going to come up a lot. You're going to hear this said a few times, and I'm trying to identify the Mother Crystal. Initially, I thought it was Shiva, but I think that that's not true, but we're going to get into it. We got this dog barking. Immediately, I thought Gentiana, so is Shiva. You know, Gentiana from Final Fantasy 15 was Shiva. Spoiler, sorry. But, you know, is she spying or is this just a dog? Who knows? I'm skeptical about that dog. All right, we have Joshua here. Seems like a fairly serious-oriented kid. I like that. I like that he's not, you know, supposed to be the greatest warrior in the land because he's 5 or 8. But anyways, so we have Joshua here, and then he's talking to this girl right here. Now, some people have speculated that this might be Shiva's dominant. I think that's an interesting idea. I like that idea. I'm not against it. It's just there's a few things in here that make me think that maybe she's just a priestess or something like that. So let's keep going, and I'll show you why. I'm sure you guys all have your thoughts too. We have the queen here, makes her appearance. This is Joshua's mom. And this is kind of an important scene, I think, because you can see that we have our main hero here, the young version anyways, and he's bowing to the queen like he should. And then we have Joshua, who's not bowing because that's his mom. He's not bowing to his mom. In fact, he looks a little upset. And then we have this girl right here who some people have said they thought that was Shiva's dominant. But I think that in this world, if you are in control of or you're a host to a icon like that, I think that you're royalty, and I think that you're probably a prince or princess or a king, similar to Final Fantasy 15. And so with that logic, if this was Shiva's dominant, I would think that she's royalty from a different land, perhaps a princess herself. And if she is, I'm kind of confused why she's bowing to the queen other than to just be respectful, which I guess I'm okay with. But there's another scene in here that kind of counteracts that some more. But anyways, she says you should not be outdoors. She's holding her nose here like there's something, like there's a stench, or she's trying to not get something in her mouth or something, you know, she's trying to essentially do a hand face mask here. I don't think that works very well, but anyways, we'll have to talk to the CDC about that. So she says, we have discussed this. Later in the trailer, they bring up the Blight. Now, there's been some speculation here that you can see Joshua here, and he's healing our main hero. And the people have speculated like, oh, like Joshua's not supposed to be outside because there's this Blight. Right when she says that, Joshua's healing the Blight on our main hero. Initially, when I heard that, I thought that's genius. That's exactly what's going on. I don't think that's what's going on, though, because that makes no sense. Why would Joshua not be allowed outside if he could heal the Blight? I think Joshua's not allowed outside because he's a prince or he's royalty, and they don't want him killed or kidnapped. It's just not safe. And I think that it's a little weird for our hero to have like some kind of blight or sickness that people are worried about, and he's sitting here walking around in the courtyard, right? And like he's on his knee right now, like, oh, I have this sickness. Can you please heal it while I'm like walking in the castle? Like, I don't know. It just seems weird to me. I think that probably what happened is either our main hero got burnt or he got hurt and Joshua's able to heal it. Maybe they established because he can heal, you know, wounds, whether it's broken bones or burns or just slashes or something like that, that maybe he can heal this Blight as well. But I'm not so sure about that, and we'll get into it. But I think at the very least, I'm going to rule out that, you know, our hero had the Blight and Joshua was healing it, because they say later in the trailer that you need the blessing of the Mother Crystal in order to ward off the Blight. And I'm not even sure there's an actual sickness in the game. That might just be a metaphor. But anyways, she's still blocking her nose. That's what throws me off. I'm in the middle on it. But anyways, the queen's walking off with a bunch of people following behind her. She's grabbing Joshua by the hand and carrying him away, you know, and we still see this girl here that's supposed to be Shiva's dominant. Why are they not bringing her away? Wouldn't she be equally in danger? I think that she's probably some kind of peasant. Maybe she prepares the horses or something. She's probably close with our main hero here. And perhaps maybe she's like like I said earlier, a priestess or something like that in training. But I don't think that she's Shiva's dominant, to be honest. We got Joshua looking back at our main hero for the sole purpose for our character to say, I am Joshua's shield. And we get this sweet badass shot of our main hero with a chocobo. And he's got his sword out. And this is pretty much what I wanted, this scene right here. This is like one of the best scenes in the trailer. I love it. It's just so badass. So he's sworn to protect our Joshua. So he's basically Gladio from Final Fantasy 15. Now we see some combat. This is interesting. Look how foggy this is, right? You're going to see a lot of this, a lot of these battle scenes where it's super foggy and just super dark out. And I think that's probably because they don't want you to see what's in this background here, because this is early game footage and they probably have not put textures on these mountains. If they took away this fog, this mountain is probably just a gray layer, right? So they have this thick fog here so you can't see it. You don't have to worry about the draw distance. So I think that's what's going on there, but we're going to see some sweet combat. Look at his back right there. Look like there's some blood on there. He kind of warp strikes almost, but oh my God, look how bloody that is. Dude, if they scale that back, I'm going to be pissed. There's blood on the sword. I mean, this is cool, dude. This is really, really cool. Some people were bringing up that they thought this might be turn-based. Like that was just an attack, right? Like a menu came up and it was like, press X to fight. And then like he'll do his special move. And then that was it. I don't think so, guys. I think you're giving your hopes up. Let me go for the kill shot. That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick. All right. So he says, what do you mean to refuse? We're on to a new scene here. We have this older gentleman with this very plain looking outfit. Very, very plain for a Final Fantasy game. But he's very upset. He's got very stiff animations in his face. But he's pointing at somebody and says, did you not pledge your sword to our cause? You got this guy in the background smoking. You can see this smoke coming up. I love it. All right, now you have our main character running from a Marlboro. Pretty badass. What I really like about this, I'm going to point this out here, is see this lighting that's kind of hitting this water? I think this is pretty trash looking water, to be honest, because it looks almost like ice. And again, we kind of have this thick fog, which makes me think they don't want you to see these textures back here because they're not done. And this is just basically for them to test the battle system. We don't have like a user interface or a health bar or anything like that. But regardless, this is pretty cool. But I do like that this light is hitting the water like this, and it seems to be very reactive, which I think is really cool too. You see reflections from Marlboro in the water. I mean, you saw him shooting some fire from his hand. So we're going to have some magic like traditional Final Fantasy games. And yeah, overall, very, very cool. Now it cuts back to the scene where this old man had said, what do you mean? Did you not pledge your sword to our cause? And this woman's going to say something very important. I think this girl on the right, or this woman, I should say, I think that she is like a messenger for the Mother Crystal or whoever is involved with that. I think that she's a messenger for that, like a spokesperson or envoy, that type of person. So she says, what does it matter? I'm going to get into why I think that, by the way, but you'll see. It says right here with the captions on, it was them who drew back the Crusaders. But if you listen to the audio, she actually says, wasn't it the Dovaks who drew back the Crusaders? And I have it on super slow. And the Battle of the Twin Realms, was it not? So I think that's what the battle was at the opening of the game, or opening of the trailer. And this is going to fit together a little bit neater as we go through this. But she says, in the Battle of the Twin Realms. So there was this battle, the Duvaks or whatever, they got them through the Battle of the Twin Realms against the Crusaders. Perhaps those were the Special Forces guys. Perhaps that was something else. But anyways, she's not going to be involved. And that's essentially what she's saying here is, you don't even need me. Why do you care? But this is going to be very important here in a second. So see, it still says in the Battle of the Twin Realms, and we go back to that opening scene at the beginning of the game, which I still think this is the battle. I keep saying beginning of the game, beginning of the trailer. You know what I mean? So I still think this is the battle at the beginning of the trailer with Shiva's ice scooting across the field. And then you have Titan here. So then they say, without the blessing of the mother crystal, and she's walking out, and it still says, without the blessing of the mother crystal. So to me, this tells me that she said, we're not going to help you. This guy's like, what do you mean? You're pledging our sword to us, right? You're like, did you not pledge your sword? And she's like, why does it matter? At the Battle of the Two Realms, you didn't need me anyway, so I think you'll be okay. And then someone saying, without the blessing of the mother crystal, we can't ward off the blight from our lands. So to me, either she's the mother crystal or the vessel for that, or she's some kind of special envoy or spokesperson or messenger, basically a diplomat of sorts that's supposed to discuss these political matters and kind of tell them, you know, make agreements and such and that type of thing. It says, we cannot defend our realm from the spread of the blight. And this goes to why I don't think Shiva is the mother crystal, by the way, because if you go with the fact that at the beginning of the trailer, that's the Battle of the Two Realms, then how are we going to have Shiva and Titan fighting, and then this person saying, you didn't even need me, right? And we have a very early scene in the game that I forgot to bring up, so let me just bring this up too, because this is going to be really important. I can't believe I missed this. It's coming up here in just a second. Oh, okay, almost scooted past it. It goes by really quick. Almost. Okay, see this right here? It just scooted past again. I'm not going back, but it's right here, up here. You can't see the top, but you can go back if you rewind a little bit. But essentially, this is some kind of ice castle of sorts. So I wonder if, let me go back so you can get a good view of that. So right here, we can see this ice castle. So this land is being attacked. Shiva's defending her own land. And they're battling Titan, which goes back to why we have this character right here, who is... He's got that on his arm, that emblem, and you see ice going against his side. So it seems to me that emblem was from Titan and that Shiva was defending her castle. I think that's the Battle of the Two Realms, because while she's saying, referencing this woman up here, the Battle of the Two Realms, it cuts to that same battle, which I think is where our main hero was at. And he was in this elite forces. Perhaps he's part of the Duvek. See, we see Shiva there, right there. And then we see more of Titan. Without the blessing of the mother crystal, we cannot defend our realm from the spread of the blight. And this woman's walking out. She just basically refused to help. So I think she's involved with the mother crystal of some sorts. Now we have this King Regis looking fellow. And I think this is... there's a couple theories. This could be Joshua's father. Some people have speculated this is our main hero's father because he looks similar. He's the Archduke, perhaps. Who cares? Because now we have a dragoon. All right, now I just want to point out that this armor right here, if you look at the design of this armor, this is what gets me thinking a little deep here, but I'm going to go back to the beginning of the game. And it's the same freaking armor. However, I think that's just a coincidence because I cannot make that connection any other way. So let's go back to the dragoon. Super badass. We're going to talk about this emblem here shortly. Okay, so our main hero, as the young form he is, with his leather pants, is battling a fully armored dragoon, and our main character has nothing on but regular clothes. Whatever, he's more swift. Look how big he is, though. Jesus. All right, so God, I can't. That's not a good shot of that emblem or that symbol or that crest, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so they're just going to town here. Okay, so you can kind of see an image there with the crest. There we go. Okay, so it looks like some kind of bird or something like that. I don't know. But this is going to come up. This is going to be important. Remember this because this is actually going to show up later in the trailer. But I also want to point out again that I think this dragoon is from Shiva. Because that was a perfect shot. Why did I not talk during that? Okay, so you see some Shiva ice going this way. So we know all these guys on chocobos are from Shiva's side, you'd presume, right? And you see this color of green. It's the same shade of green as our dragoon buddy. So if you're looking at this color right here, and then let's go to our dragoon guy. And we're waiting for that really good shot. Okay, it's going to zoom in here in just a second. And boom. It's the same color. It's the same color green. It might not be the same, but I mean, look at down here. It's literally the same type of pattern that was on that guy's, outfit down here at the bottom. It's the same color green, the same types of ridges. It's the same thing. So this dragoon, in my opinion, is from Shiva. So apparently we defeated the dragoon. This cracks me up. Look at this fire right here. Like, this is not safe. There's this flag up here. There's all this crap over here that's very flammable, by the way. And they're just like not even concerned about it right now. I guess, you were just fighting a dragoon, but it's just, it just cracks me up. Like, that's kind of a fire hazard. All right, so pretty cool. Pretty cool. I should take his helmet off and see who it is. Now we're fighting a Cariol, I think they're called. They turn you into stone. Something like that. I was trying to figure out where this is. I think this is just like a training area or something. Because I don't know, I couldn't see anything. Now this is one of the shots that we get that's actually not super dark or foggy, which tells me that they wanted to give some variety to the trailer with the color. However, they don't really show much. And even the stuff they do, you can see these trees. I mean, this is just plain brown. There's no bark on these trees. But when you go over here, this is like super detailed. So they're still doing some work, but I can't, when people say this is open world, I'm like, do you really see this character like running off over here towards this brown tree? Maybe, I guess. But anyways, they don't really show much over here. Again, you're on the side of a mountain, so they're only showing sky. And even then, it's kind of cloudy. So I think that they just weren't ready to, show. This game's in early development. That's what I'm bringing up, guys. Look at these rocks. I mean, those are some nasty looking rocks. Pretty cool fighting, though. This creature looks crazy. All right, now we're going to have one of the wildest scenes in this trailer. This is so wild. So first off, everyone's trying to figure out who the hell this guy is because he's about to lose his head. We presume anyways. So some people have speculated this is Joshua's father. Maybe this is just somebody important to Joshua. Regardless, this is going to really just mess Joshua up for life. because he just had a gush of blood splattered all over his face. This is so mature, guys. I love this. Okay, so now we're going to transition into older version of Joe, our main character. Okay, right here, you can see our main character. He's an older version. It'll get close up on his face. You can kind of tell here in a moment, but you can see he's using the Phoenix wing, which is interesting. So he's able to use that power to assist, which makes me wonder, is this like a Kingsglaive type situation where you can borrow powers if somebody lets you? Because people in Kingsglaive from Final Fantasy 15, they could use special powers that were gifted to them by King Regis. I'm not going to get into the details of it because it's really not important, but the general concept is he currently a host for Phoenix, or is he able to just harness this? And then you're going to have another icon appear here, which is even more confusing. But we're fighting this mage guy in midair. Boom, look at that. Titan's fist. Pretty cool. So he's able to use Titan as well. This is a much cooler outfit, by the way. Much cooler. I thought when I saw that blue at first, I thought that was ice like Shiva. But no, we go in for another Titan fist. And then yet another Titan fist. And another one, an uppercut. So I think what we're going to have here is different play modes. Where kind of like in Ghost of Tsushima where you can change your stances. I think that's going to be, a different type of thing where you just do your different play style. Where, okay, he switched to Titan and he can, punch with these big fists. Or you can do Phoenix with the wing. Or you can just do standard melee with the sword. That type of thing. Now right here, at least at this point, it shows Joshua. And he's apparently a host for the Phoenix. This has been a very traumatic experience. Maybe it's similar to Final Fantasy 13, where, okay, you're under enough stress, you are going to be able to summon now. So apparently I would have presumed that this is enough stress for this little kid to be pushed over the edge. He's got daddy's blood all over his outfit. So he's turning into Phoenix right now. And they're saying, Joshua, stop this. Because they don't want him to do this. This is a wild scene in the game. I do want to take one slight tangent and just point this out because this is going to crush me. But look at this dead chocobo here. Okay, we got a dead, bleeding out chocobo on the ground. It's a white chocobo. You guys think this is the same chocobo that is at near the beginning portion of this game? Not the beginning portion of the trailer, but maybe a minute in or so. We're going to get to there in just a second. Okay, so at 116, here's this chocobo. Our main character's chocobo. Perhaps this is the moment that really pushed him over the edge. Our chocobo dies. No, it might just be another white chocobo. But I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, our main hero was nearby. We were just fighting in that same area. But here, we'll go back to it and see what you guys think. Did I go too far? Okay, they're about to say, Joshua, stop this. Okay, you can see the chocobo right there, but they're going to scoot down. There's another one. There's another dead chocobo. Jesus Christ. What is this? Is this another one? All right, so we got this white chocobo right here. He's dead, obviously, and I don't know. That's going to suck if that's our chocobo. I'm going to be very upset. I think I just talked about that for about a minute and a half. All right, so now Joshua has turned into the Phoenix. I don't know if he's turned into it or if he's summoned it or whatever the case may be, but he's currently the Phoenix, and that looks pretty cool. Older version of our character is able to use powers from the Phoenix, which is kind of cool. And then now you have what looks like the Terminator. But no, you have this guy that's like on fire. He's just kind of standing there on fire with red eyes. And yeah, he's just on fire. And dude, look at these textures, man. It's just like brown. This game has a while to go. It's okay though. It's okay. If it looks like this when it comes out, as long as it's a good story, it's okay. So this guy that was on fire just exploded. And it's pushing this other character back. We don't know who this guy is with blonde hair, but he's just remarking that this seems impossible. It's baffling to me that this, of all the things that have happened, this is the moment this guy's amazed. But I'm sure it's going to make sense in the story. Look at, oh my God, dude. This guy is just, is his pants on fire? Look at this. His legs are currently on fire. Okay, watch this. It's gonna, maybe it just fades in like that. I don't know. Yeah, the catch is on fire. He's just sitting there talking. Jesus Christ, dude. Okay. So anyways, moving on. We have okay, now we have Ifrift. I can't ever say his name right. Ifrift. I feel like there's one too many F's in that name. But he looks really badass. Everything like Ifrift should look like. But it looks to me like Ifrift's been summoned, and now we're going to have Ifrift and Phoenix just going at it, and something crazy is going to happen. I think this is going to be the moment that scars our main hero. Okay, so he's roaring, you know, just more showing off. We're about to have this battle of the icons. We have Ifrith versus Phoenix. I think they're both fire-based, which is strange. They say the legacy of the crystals has shaped our history. And there we go. Okay, hold on. You're going to see something, and I guess we got to go through a few more scenes, and then we'll get back to the scene that I think really pushed our character over the edge. So, but now we have our older version of our hero fighting the same type of goblin creature outside of that same shack in this very foggy area, which again makes me think they only have a couple of areas ready to show us for combat. Back to the Battle of the Twin Realms. We see Shiva's ice going across. We have Titan. Again, we've already seen this. We have young version of our hero, Joe, attacking the same Marlboro that we've already seen. And now Titan, or excuse me, Ifrift is trying to break the seal that is happening with Phoenix. Now, this is going to be important, guys. Okay, it says the legacy of the crystals has shaped our history for long enough, so he's going to stop it. That implies something has happened, and he's just tired of it. And I think we're going to see something here in just a second. Okay, so let's pay attention here. We have Ifrift. We just saw that scene where he was like putting all of his effort into attacking Phoenix. He stretches out his arm here. Okay. They say, please, Joshua, wake up. So I think that they need him to wake up so the Phoenix doesn't get killed or something like that. Or maybe maybe the Phoenix has been injured. But you see all this PlayStation 2 blood right here. We're going to see more PlayStation 2 blood. And there we go. Okay, so here's more PlayStation 2 blood. Again, once this game's done, I'm sure it's going to look better than that. But even, you know, and if this is the way it looks, that's fine. But I just want to point out that this game has a ways to go. So, yeah, this Ifrift, he just dove his hand in there after they're saying, please, Joshua, wake up. And he dives his hand in there and then rips back, and this pool of blood comes out across the screen, which tells me that he just probably either severely injured Phoenix or I think killed Phoenix and thus killed Joshua. And I think that since our main hero was Joshua's shield, that I think this is something that pushes him to end this entire thing, because he thinks like this has just gotten to, he's just tired of it, right? And given that Ifrift is on fire, given that this whole castle is on fire, given what just happened to Joshua, I think this makes sense why our main hero is looking at the fire at the beginning of the trailer, and he's kind of not reminiscing, but remembering, the thing that started this whole journey for him was these events. And this makes me think, guys, that this trailer that we just saw here, I think this trailer is probably all scenes from the first couple hours of the game, to be completely honest. I mean, it's just, I can't see, look, I can't see them showing us scenes like this one where, where Joshua gets his dad's head chopped off or his throat slit, right? That's a pretty big spoiler. You think they would show that in the first, in the first opening trailer? I think that this is all super early events. I don't think that is something you would show in your trailer. And I think that for a time jump, also, that's got to happen really early, because they're not going to show that in the trailer, in the first trailer, if that wasn't a pivotal point. That happens very early. So I wonder if this is the way the game is going to, I can't even talk right now. Sorry, guys. If this is the way the game is going to run. All right. So I just put it at normal speed here. So I think the game is going to open with this sweet cutscene with, basically Shiva and Titan fighting. I think it's going to be at the Battle of the Twin Realms. This is essentially going to be how the game's going to start off. We're going to start off as older version of our main hero, and then he's going to be reminiscing about the fire and, trying to, just remember what caused him to go down this path, right? And then, his officer or sergeant or whatever are saying Shiva's the dominant, the only target. And then you see our main hero, he's going to be touching his tattoo, and he's going to be thinking about the past, about him protecting Joshua, and he's going to be thinking about his failure in protecting Joshua here at the end, right? Because we see this scene where Ifrift kind of tears the heart out of Phoenix, I think anyways. There's a lot of blood for that not to be severely wounded. And I think that that's probably going to be the event that turns him. And I don't know if he's going to still be fighting for the same side, or if these people's general approach, these, whatever you want to call them, special forces or whatever, I think that they're probably just, I think their goals are aligned in that they're trying to end this icon war, right? Because it seems like whoever has the power of the icons seems to run things, and everyone's always fighting, and they just want to get rid of the icons. Now, that kind of contradicts the fact that our main hero is able to summon Titan's Fist and Phoenix's Wing, and, I can't really make sense of that, but from what we've seen, I think that this is my best guess with what's going on. So I'm kind of interested with what you guys have to say about all this stuff. I'm sure that you guys have your own impressions with this, but honestly, I'm not happy with everything here. I think that some people have pointed out that this might be, Final Fantasy Tactics or a Matsuno and I haven't really gotten that impression. I've just kind of gotten the feeling that they just showed us a lot of stuff, and this game is still in very early development. I mean, Yoshi P tweeted out that he was going to give this game his best shot. That doesn't sound like something you would say if you already had the game done. You would probably be talking about the game like Katase was talking about 7 Remake at E3 last year, where he was saying, I hope you're going to like what we made. I think you guys are going to like it. I'll give it my best shot. Doesn't sound like you've gotten a lot done. And then when you look at some of these textures, you look at the reuse of the same areas for battles. I mean, maybe they're just trying to hold back, but none of this is criticism. It's just me pointing out that I think this game's going to be a couple years down the road until it comes out. Could be wrong, but I definitely think that that's where we're at with this. However, I am excited that Square's taking a risk here. I think that's important. I think that they've been unwilling to do that for a very long time. And I think that they've tried their hand at telling the Sakaguchi style story. And I don't think they understand what made Sakaguchi stories good. And so they always felt like a shell of their former self. Like they would always have the ingredients of the prior Final Fantasies, but they would just never be that good. And, you know, this is a new direction that we have for Final Fantasy, and it's a different flavor. It still feels like Final Fantasy, but it's more mature, but we still have chocobos. We still have, you know, the icons and stuff like that. I'm sure there'll be other Final Fantasy-esque things in here, but it's still Final Fantasy. It's just a different flavor. And I think that that's okay. I think that, you know what, if you can't do the Sakaguchi style stories, I think that you need to be passionate about what you're making. So if this is the route that they want to go, as long as it's good, I'll be okay with it. You know, we had this with the other Final Fantasies where you had different teams that worked on different games, and stylistically they would feel a little bit different. I mean, a Matsuno Final Fantasy feels way different from a Katase Final Fantasy, but they're all Final Fantasies. So this is Yoshi P's Final Fantasy. This is his brand, and cool. I'm excited to see what they have going on. And I think that that's the other thing here that is kind of giving me hope is that, you know, Yoshi P thus far has not been a train wreck. He's been pretty consistent with putting out good stuff. They just put out Shadowbringers. I mean, people are talking about this is the best thing Final Fantasy has ever done, Shadowbringers. I haven't played it, so I can't comment on that, but I'm going to take Eric's word on it. I'm going to take everyone's word on it that that's basically where it's at, that basically it is that good. So, you know, if it's that good, I can't imagine that they would mess this up. You know, the fact that they just got done making that and it's the same people. You know, when you're on a roll, you're on a roll. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. I'm excited to see the trailer that comes up in 2021. Hopefully we actually find out our main character's name. I would like to see some party members. I'd like to see some other main characters that are going to be involved in this story. I don't want this to be a solo adventure. And, you know, I'd like to see some more with this combat. I want to see some UI. I want to see some more polish. I'm not going to lie, but if it does look like this, then I'll be okay as long as it's a good story. I think that's all that matters. But at the end of the day, I'm excited. I'm excited for this. So let me know what you guys think. Join our Discord. We can talk on there. Probably a lot easier for us to discuss things on there. And yeah, we will talk to you all later. Thanks, guys. Okay, thank you again for listening and watching this podcast episode. It is available on YouTube and Apple Podcasts and anywhere else you can think to listen to your podcast. So please definitely go check us out there. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave a review on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And please do not forget to check out our media partner at rpgfan.com.